everybody. Welcome to a special edition of UGASports Live. I am your host, Radi Nabulsi. I'm joined by Jim Donnan, the former Georgia Bulldogs head coach, and Dayne Young, executive producer, who makes sure that I get in and out of my commercials and puts all the comments on the screen. So if you have a comment, anything you'd like to say to Coach or say to us, see Brad's from Dahlonega, Georgia, joining us, or excuse me, Bread Pit. I'll take Bread Pit because I was in Dahlonega recently to see my boy. So love that town, and we appreciate everybody joining us. And Coach, a crazy, crazy weekend for the University of Georgia Bulldogs. The Instant Classic is bandied about, but you and I both know the minute we turned off the camera that you just knew that was going to be on that late night, SEC network in the middle of summer. 10, 20, 30 years from now, they're going to be replaying this game, an overtime victory at Neyland Stadium between two ranked teams, just blow after blow, mistake after mistake on both teams, just an absolute heavyweight battle. And Georgia came out on top. And you were much more confident than I was. I was worried to death. And early on, it looked pretty bad, but I got to give credit to the Bulldogs for sticking it out. It would have been very easy for them with that crowd and that pace just to say, we're not coming back for this. But they did it against Tech last year. And even that Alabama game where they got down so far, they came back and even took the lead in that game. These Bulldogs don't quit, Coach.
Yeah, that's the MO of their coach. I mean, they just have a lot of fight in them. And, there's no way to predict what's going to happen in games for sure because everybody's got their own identity. But I did want to make one point here before we get too much going about bragging about us and also maybe saying a few things about concerns. But, the college football element right now is just so vivid to me that this transfer portal has just made it a situation where there's so much doubt about every team because your lack of depth and your lack of being able to adjust to having injuries. Because if we've talked about on the people that follow us, and hopefully they watch all the different shows, but the reason we're losing players for the transfer portal is because of they want to play and they don't want to be sitting around. And if you look over the evolution of this dynasty that we built here, there was always somebody in place to step up and be the next guy up and be the next star or be the next dominant player or whatever it might be. Now, some of these guys became that because they stuck around, they went through the system, they developed, and they became really good players like Tyke Smith, like Javon Bullard. These are guys that were not highly recruited but came in here and really played and did well. And same way, even with a guy like Javon Walker, really was not a great player early, but just kept on developing. My point is, look around the country, and there's a lot of Bulldogs starting for teams around the country. Look at Texas A&M. They got 5 quarterbacks, 5 playing on other teams now, including one for them. Marcel Reed is doing a good job. But they got guys throughout the country that are leading their teams and doing a good job. Wegeman's doing a good job at Houston and just blah, blah, blah. So
Haynes King at Georgia Tech, Zach Calzada at Kentucky.
We don't want to give him too much credit, but he's unbelievable. But I really like Haynes King. Don't kid me. But here's the point. We need some depth in the offensive line, and we don't have it. And it really hurts us because we're a really good offensive team, but you can't coach around worrying about whether you're going to protect the quarterback and try to have the kind of route you need against Tennessee. You got Humphreys playing for Texas A&M. You got A.J. Harris starting for Penn State, 2 ranked teams. These are 2 corners that played here and could have been really good players. I don't know if they're as good as Harris or Robinson, but they're playing. The same thing's true with safeties around the country. The same thing with defensive ends. We're seeing, the kid at Missouri. But that's neither here nor there as far as this game, but it is a point that needs to be reckoned with the rest of the season. And where it's really going to be vivid is when you get to this playoff and you got to win 3 or 4 games, and your depth week in and week out is going to be sorely tested, and the injury bug's going to be there. So who's going to be healthy? Who's going to have some depth that's developed? And that's what's going to happen. Fortunately for us, we don't have that W on our side, which would be hard to overcome in a lot of ways, but you can do it. But the team that won, it's definitely on your side because that's a big win on the road. So kudos to our team, our staff, the players, just the way they competed, the guys that had minor roles, the guys that had major roles. But hopefully tonight we can answer some questions more than just give my opinion, because I want to see what everybody else wants me to answer. But the bottom line for us, Tennessee, from my standpoint, a lot more physical than I thought they'd be. They knocked us around. We were a little bit better on offense than I thought. Our defense has major – I'm not talking about our defense has major problems. Kirby says they can be fixed. I believe in Kirby, but he's going to have to be a major fixer to get it going, because we got some issues here, and we're going to have to adjust a little bit to what way teams are attacking us. They don't want to sit down and get second, third, and long and see if they can block our packages. They're throwing the ball on first down. Look who beat us last year. Tech throwing on first down. Ole Miss throwing on first down. Alabama throwing on first down. That's what you're going to do, because you're going to get a basic coverage and maybe a little bit of different stuff, but you're going to get a lot of stuff on first down that you know is coming, because we're committed to stopping the run, which I would be too. But we're going to have to do a better job. 14 straight. Quincy Carter hit, I think, 15 straight against LSU that night, but that's hard to do. So
I think Grayson Lambert's still the record holder to this point. I don't think that's been broken.
As far as passes in a row?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't think he did that against a team like Tennessee did against us, or we did against LSU on the road. But here's the point. We're going to have to really improve with the teams we're playing. The way I looked at it, and I look at all the stuff that Roddy and Dayne have on our way, I figure like we're going to play 9 teams, and 7 of them have got at least as good a quarterback as we saw last week. 7 of them do. Now, I don't know who Charlotte's got, and Zach Calzada might be okay at Kentucky, but everybody else, they're very capable, almost without question, as much as Joey Aguilar is. So we got to get our defense against the pass really rolling there.
Hey, Roddy, I want to illustrate the offensive line point real fast before we dive further into Tennessee, because I think this is a massive point, and you're going to see it all across college football. Last year with Georgia, when Jared Wilson gets hurt, Drew Bobo's there to stabilize this, a guy that's been in the program that knows what he's doing. And you saw Georgia not freak out because of that. And a lot of teams, you replace a center, especially one as good as Jared Wilson, it's really hard to find cohesion. When Georgia had other injuries, Xavier Truss, plugging and playing, right? This year, that's a couple freshmen they've already thrown in there. Glover.
Dude, it's bigger than that. People don't remember that Amarius Mims didn't come and start right off the bat. You had Broderick Jones sitting on the bench, one of the best offensive linemen I've ever seen. It's you had
he's behind Jamari Sawyer, and then the other kid, Mims can't get on the field because of the guy that's playing in the pros now that was in the rec. So it's just an issue here. And but here's the thing: all of us as fans, and I consider myself more of a fan than I am a coach now, but we got to realize that, and it's certainly okay to be critical and have an opinion and all, but you just got to go with the flow and adjust here. It's not anything to do with development right now. You can't develop a guy that's only been here 3 months. You're going to get him better, but you got a guy here 2 or 3 years now. If he doesn't develop, that's one thing. But right now, boy, it's a different ball game, and all the coaches got to adjust across the country. You see it with Texas. Texas lost all those linemen to the pros. Everybody's talking about Arch, and certainly he's not throwing with very good precision, and he's rushing. He's got the weight of the world on him and a lot of pressure. But the fact is, his supporting cast, offensive line, is just not there. The same thing's true with LSU. They get 5 picks in a game. They can't score. but obviously they knew that they were going to keep Florida out of the end zone and everything. But the Florida Gators worry me a little bit now. Their defense has given up 2 touchdowns in 3 games. And if they ever get it rolling on offense, you better watch out because their defense is salty.
I'm with you there, Coach. That was one of the things we talked about after the game, the fact that Georgia puts up 40-something points without, I don't want to say without the right side of its line, but without its best players. And there's a marked difference between Georgia when it's healthy across the O-line and when it's not. And in the past, we would say, well, next man up mentality. Somebody's hurt. It's the coach's job to have the next guy ready to go in. And we saw that in 2021, 2022. They had a lot of injuries, but they also had a lot more depth. But the depth is disappearing. So my point is the margin for error is much thinner because you don't have the depth, but everybody's facing it. When I talk to people at Texas, at Ohio State, other reporters are like, this team is thin. Everybody says it. This team is thin. I'm like, well, yeah, but you're like the number 1 team in the country. They're number 2 or number 3. Like, yeah, they're 1 injury away. Everyone's petrified of it. So this is a good time for the off week, Coach, because now you can get some of these guys healthy before Alabama rolls into town. So I thought that we saw the secondary exposed in this game, but I also thought we saw the tenacity of this team revealed. We saw Gunner Stockton getting the ball down the field. We saw guys making big plays, great blocks on the perimeter, some great open field tackling. And I'm even if Georgia had lost that game, I would have felt like we saw a lot more questions answered because of the performance. And then a few more new ones like, what the hell's going on in the secondary? So I'm not saying I'm optimistic about beating Alabama. That's a good team. But I do feel that in 2 weeks, we're going to see a team that's even better than this one we saw against Tennessee. And they should continue to get better throughout the year. I know everybody tries to get better, but this one is, you can see kids grow up before our eyes against Tennessee.
Well, here's the thing when you talk about coaches making adjustments and all, I thought the way that we were able to finally get Bo Hughley in there and he stabilized a little bit because we just had a situation where Weenie has been a guard and he was moved out to tackle and things didn't work out. And then Donnell Glover comes in there. Donnie Glover plays really good at guard. He made a couple mistakes, but the best friend of the defense the other night was Georgia's offense because it kept them off the field. I mean, the exposures that they had were very vivid there early. And then, third quarter, I mean, just a dominant performance there by Georgia. And one of the question marks was why did Georgia kind of go in a shell there after they got the turnover? And the reason they did was Kirby Smart is thinking, we've got this game under control. We get this field goal here, we'll really be under control, and it's going to be hard for them to come back because our defense is starting to get a good feel for them. And because we just had a lost yardage play on the goal line on the previous series, they played it close to the vest and got the 3. Now, they had to think that they might make a first down running it too. So anybody says, why didn't we open up? That's why we didn't, because, hey, we got 3 out of it, and that's sometimes you just play for 3, knowing that you got an issue on your right-hand side of the line. So it's hard to call some of those plays. But Mike Bobo, tremendous job of utilizing his skill people. And if we can get a pocket for this kid to throw to these wide receivers with the bevy of screens that we've got, with the inside running presence we've got, then it's just hard to roll out and hit receivers on the kind of routes you're going to run to really make a difference. So the play action game and the pocket protection, if we can get that rolling, I think we've got a chance to be a really good offensive team. Our kicking game is superior. So that's 2 phases. Then defense has got a ways to go. There's no question about it. I mean, we got some serious issues playing the ball in the air. We've had that for 2 years now. We did get 2 picks. Joe Nell did a good job when he was playing zone and moved him around, which we tried to hide. He's not a man cover guy. But if you make a mistake in the secondary, everybody sees it. I mean, you can make a mistake, miss a block on one side of the line, nobody sees it. But But there's a lot of subtle things that happen during the game. Some of the ways we use formations, the 2-point play, the way we hit our receiver in the huddle and made him look like he was mad because he wasn't going to get the ball, and he kind of nonchalant motion, and then all of a sudden came out quick as a hiccup and hit him. That's coaching. Very good job by Bobo and Coley on that. And I'm just anxious to answer some questions. I've been sitting around here all day. It's a long day for me. It's about my bedtime, so let's get rolling there.
I got 3 for you, Coach. You mentioned the kicking game. Every time before the season starts and you kind of give us your 30,000-foot view, you talk about the offense, defense, strengths, weaknesses. When we got to you told us before the season at that kind of overview, like our kicking game will be a strength. It will win us games. You saw Tennessee's kicking game lose them a game. I'm not putting it all on the kicker. They could have kept coming. They had Georgia's defense on the ropes, but it's absolutely a difference maker. Peyton Woodring gets special teams player of the week. Georgia's quarterback that has all the questions about him also wins a player of the week award, Gunner Stockton. So you mentioned the kicking game. I just want to give a shout out to Peyton and to your oracle ability to say that this would come into play at some point. It did. He knocked down 3 of them. And Gunner Stockton, I mean, Davey O'Brien Award, all sorts of awards all over the country for his performance. And I got to think that it was last week you basically stood on the table for Gunner Stockton and said anybody that doesn't believe in this kid can basically go pound sand. You didn't quite say it that way, but you gave your vote of confidence.
I have the quote. I want to play this from last week, Coach, because I pulled this, exactly what you said, heading into that game.
But also, from my standpoint, I've seen it in action over 3 years here with Gunner. I have no reservation about him throwing the ball down the field or our receivers getting open. It's just a case of doing it against our own team. We got to do it in public there.
Well, they did it in public.
Yeah, I mean, I did the same thing with Stetson. I told everybody about Stetson way before. I mean, I talked to Munkin about it, and Munkin had his own views early and really didn't give him a chance, which I understand that because he's a new coach. But realistically, you just see the it factor in these guys. And one of the things that both of them gave us and are giving us now is the ability to make a play out of nothing that would keep you from making a first down maybe and help you get a first down, maybe not on first down or second down, but third down, whatever it might be. But avoiding the lost yardage plays, it helps your protection. It makes you wonder about the other team. And from, Tennessee's perspective, first play of the game, they bring the safety blitz from over there at where Phil Fulmer was sitting. I mean, this guy –
that was a long way.
I couldn't believe how far he was away and, didn't even come close to getting pressure. And just a great throw and catch and a double move. We said that hopefully people watched the watch-along show that didn't go. The double moves are always tough on a man coverage team. And particularly these young defensive backs are going to bite on it. And Kobe did a good job, and he laid it in there and then perfect throw to Humphreys. And but again, everybody, this is Tuesday after the game, and we need to go on and hear what people want to ask about tonight because we've already used 20 minutes here.
Well, I mean, we got to have questions in the comment section before we can actually ask them, Coach. So if they don't ask any, then I get to ask them.
Well, we don't have any questions.
Yeah, here's one from James Carraway. It says, Coach, how do you expect Alabama to defend Georgia's offense? Tennessee seemed to press man and pressure Gunner to pick them apart. Could we see Bama play coverage more like Marshall and Austin Peay?
What we've seen with this Alabama defense at this point is they run a lot of different what we call junk packages, non-conform type situations where they odd-looking fronts. By that I mean just odd. I'm not talking about even or odd. They just line up differently and they try to confuse you. I'd be careful if I'm them playing us man because we know Stetson can run. Gunner can run, and also we got good man coverage beaters there with the people we have. And we got a couple guys that still got to come out a little bit that I think, given the opportunity, Bell and Thomas will do that. So as far as catching the ball down the field and all that, there wasn't any question in my mind about it. But you know, you got to think Alabama's receivers are get some chapstick this week, licking their lips going against us. But I know we'll use some, you know, some different type of coverages there. But it's going to be a chess match. But boy, I tell you, we've been, you know, every time Kirby, they've asked him about his record against Alabama. The one thing he always said is, you know, that's true. We haven't beaten them, but we haven't played them at home yet. He has yet to play Alabama at home as the head coach at Florida, at the University of Georgia. And he's
10 years.
He's been waiting on that. And
well, the last time that they played at Georgia, it kind of led. I mean, Kirby Smart was on the other sideline, obviously, but it kind of led to him being. Roddy, you were there. I was there. We stepped out on that field. We saw how Alabama looked compared to how Georgia looked, and then Derrick Henry took Georgia's soul.
Yeah, that's a long time ago, but realistically, this is big for Kirby. I mean, he, you know, have them come in here, and we got 33-game winning streak too, and we got a lot on the line. But I do feel like every team is going to have its own identity. We're going to have a strong kicking game, really good running game, and amplify our passing game, and hopefully our defense will find the way to play the ball in the air a little more and stop these first down passes. And then maybe on third down, we can get some of those rushes that we're used to with guys putting the pressure on the quarterback. And people say, why don't you pressure the quarterback more? Hard to do it on first down. You got to stop the run. And if you really sell out and play man coverage like we saw what we saw on first down with Tennessee, you give up that big play. So a lot of ifs and nuts there.
Hey, Coach, we're at our first commercial break time. So I know you have a prop beside you that we need to put you on full screen for this one.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately for us, Betsy Glass came by last week, and Roddy's going to tell you all about it. But these pies that she makes for everybody, and it's good for a good cause too. I didn't keep all of them because I had to eat one of them, but my daughter and I whipped up on that chocolate chip pie. But this is a fudge one. She's got all kinds of other sweet ones, but she also makes chicken pie, cheeseburger pie, all these different things. You can do it for you know, if you got a big company and you want to give away something at Christmas, or you want to give away something at Thanksgiving as an extra deal, they can mass mail them out. They can ship them out in a carton and keep them cool and deliver them right to your door. Got a tremendous marketing plan, and it's easy for me to talk about it because I tell you what, I couldn't just eat one piece of it. I have to tell you, I mean, I whipped off 2 pretty quick pieces of that chocolate chip pie, and very, very good ingredients like your mama or your grandma used to make. And Betsy, the big Georgia fan from Savannah, I mean, down near Savannah in Statesboro. I grew up there alongside Jeff Chancellor, and lives and dies with a dog. So hope you can look into what Roddy will tell you, how you can order them and all that. But I'm a
go to Darden's Delight, DARDENS Delight. Darden Delights. It's Betsy and her husband are both Georgia graduates. Their youngest daughter is now a freshman at UGA, so the legacy continues. And they're proud Georgia graduates. They created a pie company based on the fact that people started calling her up asking if they could make her a pie. They had one in a bake sale, and they're like, this is fantastic. Their other daughter, Darden, has Down syndrome, and they take some of the proceeds of this to actually help with these charities that help people with developmental disabilities. So this is near and dear to my heart.
Definitely. That's for
Check
sure.
out Darden's Delight.
Yeah, let's get rolling on that. So I always like to be able to talk about the from the heart here, and it's pretty obvious that she loves Georgia, but she loves her daughter. And I just watched Zach Taylor coach the other day for the Cincinnati Bengals, and his sister was there at Oklahoma and had Down syndrome, and I think she's 37 now. But my daughter used to babysit for her, and she's just such a really delight for that family. And you just got to be thankful that you have your health, but you're also thankful that you can still be involved in helping your loved ones, and that's what Betsy's doing here.
I also want to mention our friends at Athens Forward real quick before we get back to all the questions we have. And please continue to put your questions in the comment section there. We like doing that. We'll get Coach to ask a few more before we get our other advertisers. But our friends at Athens Forward, I talked about this on the Watch Along show. They went above and beyond to take care of my 86-year-old aunt to get her into the right vehicle. She decided she wanted a Toyota RAV4. They went all over the place to find one for her. So if you got a certain vehicle you want, call up Henry. He's the used car manager up there, and he will find it for you. He'll go to the ends of the earth that can get you exactly what you need. I recommend buying a brand new Ford from there, or pre-owned, certified pre-owned Ford from there. But they also have a huge selection of used vehicles. So if you're like, hey, I got to have a Dodge, I got to have Honda, whatever it is, reach out to Athens Ford. You'll get the same service as if you're walking in there to buy a new F-150. They will take care of you the exact same way.
Coach, the line I've been using about this Georgia-Tennessee game was Georgia both should have won by more than 10 points, but also shouldn't have won at all. Like both of those things felt true in that game, which is pretty wild. And I think it just goes to show how much luck is a factor with all the preparation and everything else. If that kick goes in, Georgia fans feel very differently. If a 55-yard kick from a Georgia Tech kicker does not go in, Clemson fans feel very differently. It takes luck to get where you want to go in this game.
Hey, you're preaching to the choir here. If they don't call Jasper Saints for a fumble, I might still be coaching. But it's just, I was talking to my daughter Tammy on Sunday morning, and the sun always comes up after a game, but sometimes, boy, the way I felt compared to the way some of those people up at Rocky Top felt was just a lot of difference, and it's all based on one or two things, but and it doesn't come down to just one part of the game or one factor in the game. It's a lot of different areas, but the basic deal is if you're going to win a football game, you got to avoid losing. We didn't make many mistakes in that game as far as penalties and stupid plays, but another thing that I marvel at, 95 plays and we didn't have one false start with all that noise.
I think they had 4.
And one of theirs was critical before the field goal.
Right. But you talk about coaching, and hey, give Stacy and Bobo and the players just a tremendous amount, particularly the fact that you had 3 or 4 different combinations in there with offensive linemen. So, and then of course Drew Bobo turned out to have an unbelievable game. I think he had 47 gradable pass protection or something like that with no hurries or anything. I mean, we're going
he won a weekly award too, Coach.
You get into a situation where his daddy's going to have to say, look, Drew, you need to come back and help me next year. Don't go pro.
I'll increase your allowance, son.
Yeah.
Here's a question from JRH over on Twitter. Wants to know, do you think Georgia will increase linebacker blitzing against Alabama? And I bring this question because you pointed out pretty early in the watch-along show where Georgia's linebackers were positioned and how Tennessee was taking advantage of that, and then how Georgia had to adjust to make sure that Tennessee just couldn't throw behind linebackers.
Well, it's a real give and take there. It's a good question that, the normal thing is let's get more pressure, and the way to do that is either with linebackers or stars or safeties or corners. But we just got to get our spacing involved in the zone coverage. If you're playing zone, you've got a particular area of the field that you've got, and you're counting on everybody else to be in their zone. And if that guy vacates it because he takes a bad step or he plays the run, then it creates a tremendous vacuum. I counted 9 times out of the 14 completions where there wasn't anybody from Georgia within 5 or 6 yards of the guy. And most of the time is because we were fooled or somebody's not in the right zone. But I can see us maybe putting a little more pressure on the quarterback. That's what Florida State did. And you just can't let Ty Simpson back there and gauge in. He's a very accurate passer, and he's got that big home run guy that can, Ryan Williams. So we're going to have to mix up our fronts and the linebackers run throughs. Certainly will be a big part of it.
I like that. I was overly concerned with The first time you heard about Simpson and them lose the FSU, you thought, okay, well, Alabama's not good, and we always write the eulogy for Alabama. We've been waiting for them to fall off the mountain for 17, 18 years. Seems like forever. But then you saw them bounce back last week, and I'm like, okay, yeah, they're still pretty damn good. So.
Well, I think that's some of what this season feels like, Roddy, is that week to week teams can feel very different. I mean, LSU's offense versus Clemson right now doesn't seem like the same LSU. If you told me Georgia was playing Texas this week, I'd feel really good for Georgia. But by the time that game comes around, what kind of version of Texas
Mandy's going to be a superhero by then. You know how they bounce back in time for Georgia.
I'm just saying the season evolves in so many different ways. I feel like it's hard to find consistency week to week.
And look at the schedules too. I mean, I was listening to Drinkowitz today. They play 6 straight home games. 6.
What?
They don't go on. I mean, they don't go on the road.
Anybody to begin with.
They don't even go on the road till middle of October. And amazing schedule. They only got 4 on the road as it is. So they're like 8 games at home and 4 on the road. So and then Georgia Tech. I mean, tremendous win. Their next 5 teams that they play do not have a win over an FCS team. FBS. One of the the big group teams. None of them have won one over a power team. So they're going to
be undefeated coming into Mercedes-Benz Stadium, is what you're saying.
I don't know that they'll be that, but they'll be at least 8-0. I would think they're going to win their next 5.
Well, Vandy's going to be 5-0 going into Tuscaloosa in a couple of weeks. So there's going to be some streaks happening there.
There's a team I don't want to play. I don't care when it is. I don't want to play them. I hate option football teams that know what they're doing. And sure, there's a lot of teams I'd rather play than others, but Vandy right now is among the cream of the crop in this league. Right, I just think they're very well coached. They got a good scheme, and they got a quarterback that thinks he can walk on water. I mean, what a confident!
Hell, he can.
He's a confident guy.
South Carolina, he did.
This question from Gloria, she wants to know, do you think the Bama game will be easier or harder than the at Tennessee game was?
Good question.
Oh, it's going to be hard, that's for sure, because to me, I mean, nothing against Tennessee, but Alabama's got a better roster. I don't know if they're as good a team, but Alabama's got similar defense, but probably better athletes overall. And, they're not going to have 2 starting corners out like Tennessee did. So, be a real challenge, that's for sure.
Plus, you just kind of I don't say gave them the game plan, but they saw some stuff in that Tennessee game. They're like, okay, can Georgia get this fixed in 2 weeks? We know how we want to attack them. So,
true, but they saw that last year. That Georgia got it fixed the second half. So, I mean, it's back and forth. I mean,
Georgia saw what Florida State did against Alabama too. So. Little QB run action, you never know.
Yeah, that Castellanos, man. There's another great example of a quarterback playing at Boston College, doing a good job, and then he transfers down to FSU, and FSU's on the map last year. Fired all their coordinators, new staff, put a lot of money in NIL, and reconstructed their defense. And nobody would have thought they'd be where they are right now, but that Miami FSU game is going to be big. And Miami, they reconstructed their defense too. I mean, that kid on the end out there is a good player. And, of course, they've got Beck playing really well and got a couple really good receivers. So, any way you look at it, they got 2 of the best wins of anybody. Just really big-time wins for Miami.
Roddy, I'm making 2 college football playoff predictions for you right now. So I want this to live here. It's early in the season. Notre Dame's 0-2. They're going to be 10-2 and in the playoff. This is just what they do, right? This is what they do. The other, what is the college football playoff, especially the process of putting that bracket together? It's a TV show. What is that TV show?
I told you earlier it's going to be Miami versus Georgia.
Yep, that's it. I am on the bandwagon.
You're making my own prediction back to me. I told you this.
I am. They are going to pin Georgia against Miami, and we'll get to see that together.
And we'll have the Bachelor on there and see who picks who too. But
They get Jesse Palmer to be the broadcaster for that one.
But it definitely Notre Dame's got a schedule. They got to beat USC. That's going to be tough. USC pretty good, but I think they can run a table too. But people make prognostications now compared to years past. It's just kind of a crapshoot because you don't know who's going to get hurt. Some of these guys that aren't playing might say, "Look, I'm not going to even dress out anymore. I'm going to transfer," and that hurts your depth too. So you just don't have the team chemistry that you used to have. Kids are looking for their own future, and they're going to be ready to get out of there.
I mean, two big programs just fired coaches. That didn't happen beforehand. This portal has changed the calendar of everything.
Exactly.
I was actually on with Peter Burns and Chris Doring on Sirius earlier today, and I mentioned, the lack of depth that you kind of opened the show with, Coach. Just lack of talent across the board, the parity in college football. And I said, Kirby Smart really likes this team because of their connection, the way they play for each other. Now, when you have 4 and 5 stars across the board, that's a convenience to have. You like that the guys will, each guy hosts his own row and covers his responsibility, doesn't try to, bring up his stats at the cost of the rest of the team. But right now, you have to have this support of each other, this connection and this camaraderie in the locker room. And that showed on Saturday. I'm not saying Tennessee didn't have it. They obviously played well, but that connection, Kirby Smart seemed so proud of that after the game, because I think with the parity and the possibility of injuries, you need something that unites these guys and brings them together and helps them. It's no longer a luxury anymore. It's now a necessity, especially when the fact that you look at the guys that are new to the system. You had 4 transfers into Georgia who scored touchdowns. That's huge. And those guys have to feel like they're part of the team, and the guys who are already here don't resent them. You see Dylan Bell knocking down people to score Zach Branch. It'd be very easy for him to go, "Look, I committed to Georgia. That should be my ball. Screw you." But he's laying people out. So that connection is big, Coach.
Yeah, it really is. And you're going back to the old days of Coach Dooley and Coach Bryant, where, everybody's got a role, and there's not as many 5 stars around here as there were. That's for sure. And certainly there's been good recruiting, and people can point fingers any way you want to when kids leave. But I just think it's really important that everybody understands that there's not a way to just plug and play players like it used to be. They're just not. You just can't do it.
Well, then we do have we have one 5-star that you need to check out. It's a new advertiser on UGASports.com. It is the Atlanta Dental Implants Company. Dr. Skylar Holcomb, a huge Georgia fan. This guy is absolutely rabid. He runs this place in Atlanta. We've had people, I mentioned them on the board because they started sponsoring our Georgia 321 report. And people immediately jumped in. Yes, I know this guy. He's fantastic. He's really good at what he does. I've been there. Other dentists saying this guy is fantastic. Now, they are in Atlanta. So in North Atlanta, it's not like you have to go too far. They can turn this stuff around for you really quickly. They can give you a brand new smile in as little as 1 day, thanks to their in-house lab and their experienced team. They don't have to send it out and you come back in 6 months and hope you get all this stuff done. They can do it really quickly. And you're going to meet the doctor on the first day. The day you go in, you're going to see Dr. Skylar Holcomb, and he's going to take care of you. It's just, it's a real person. It's not just some guy on a billboard, and you're like, hey, you never get to see him. They also have flexible payment plans and package pricing, so you can get these life-changing things, these accessories done without, going broke. So I'm old now. I'm 52 years old, and I've learned the 2 most important things you got to take care of: your feet and your teeth. Dr. Skylar Holcomb can take care of the second one there. So reach out to Atlanta Dental Implants and let them know that you heard about them on UGA Sports.
Glad to know. I mean, I'll be ready for one pretty soon.
I'm going. I'm going to go get one number 4 on the upper right side. So also, real quick, reach out to our friend over at myperfectfranchise.net. That's Andy Ludecki. He can get you started into a new business. Okay? If you want to get out of what you're You want to diversify. You want unlimited PTO. You want ability to create your own income and wealth. Let Andy guide you through a very comprehensive franchise evaluation. He has a ton of franchise experience and business ownership experience, so he can get you squared away pretty quickly. And if you just hate your boss, you went to work yesterday and you went to work today and you're like, I'm going to blow my brains out. Don't. Call Andy. Call myperfectfranchise.net and get a new job.
This question from John Sisson says, Coach, I've heard Gunner Stockton has a weakness when it comes to reading zone coverages and zone blitzes. Do you agree with that?
No. I mean, whoever said that probably has a reason to think it, but I don't know. Based on what I've seen out there, he sees it all the time in practice, and he's pretty good at it. But, a zone blitz is a little bit different than a man blitz because you're going to have man-to-man on the outside, and you're going to see the linebackers come. Well, on a zone blitz, they play regular zone behind it, and one guy comes, and then somebody drops off in the area where the guy left. So sometimes that might confuse a quarterback. It confuses even the pros. So tougher to read for sure. His question's good there, but I don't think that he is any different than anybody else. It's a harder read than anything zone blitz. Some people call it fire zones and things like that, but the Steelers came up with that in the early 90s where they didn't want to play man-to-man, so they would blitz people, and then they would drop an end or drop a linebacker where they replace the guy that came. So sometimes that can confuse you a little bit as compared to just a pure linebacker blitz, and then you can read that knowing that nobody's going to drop back into that area where he throws it.
I do want to bring up something real quick along those lines. Last week, we got the question that all the film analysts out there were saying that Gunner was bad with his progressions or he was bad looking downfield. And Coach said that's absolute BS. And I'm just going to say Coach was right. And that's not – I mean, we have our own guys, Dayne, who break down film. But just because people can point to something and say it with authority does not mean it's true. Even if I'm doing it or Dayne or Brent or anybody on the UGASports staff. But apparently that was the end thing to talk about was Gunner's inability to look a certain way or, he stares his receivers. Coach blew that up 3 weeks ago. He can't go through his progressions. Coach blew that up last week. And now zone blitz.
I would say this on these. In the pantheon of Georgia quarterbacks, since I've been and over history, two of the most football acumen, knowledgeable quarterbacks to ever play here are Stetson Bennett and Gunner Stockton. They've forgot more football than most people ever learn. So as far as knowing football and reading it and reading coverages and knowing what to do, you can say, he's got a little bit of a deliberate throwing motion and all that, but knowing what to do, man, just look at this. You got 100,000 people at that game, 20 million watching it. Was there one time that anybody watching that game anywhere in the country didn't think that the quarterback for Georgia was in complete charge?
Even down 21-7, you're totally right.
In and out of the huddle, getting knocked around, making the throws. I mean, he's got that it factor. Now, whether he's going to be able to get us over the hump, who knows? And
Coach, that was without a good right side. He wasn't getting a lot of. That was without a lot of protection off that right side.
But I'm just saying, there's something. I used to talk to our quarterback about how you come out of the huddle, walk into the line. There's something about strutting your stuff. The other team sees you going up there. You're looking at the defense. You're reading the coverage as you're walking to the line. You look like you know what you're doing as compared to walking up, put your head down. Oh, my God, I don't know what we're going to do. This nose guard, what am I going to do? I mean, he just looks to me like he expects to do well. And then after the game, talking to Holly Rowe is like, oh, gee, shucks. I mean, I'm just happy to be here.
I have no idea what I'm doing here. Yeah, I know that.
He was so happy because he knew we're capable of even doing more. So it's kind of like a Texas game last year. We won that first game, but it could have been really bad if we'd have done anything taking care of the ball and made the plays that were there in the first half, it would have been ugly with all the turnovers they had. So you don't worry about if and all that stuff. But I'm just glad from my standpoint that we were able to keep our defense where they could make enough changes and stay in the game and keep them from having to defend some plays by their team being off the field. And the offense really answering the bell. I mean, just time after time when you needed to make it, they did it.
Coach, we got one here from our guy, Randy Powers. He says Alabama has the 15th ranked rush defense in the SEC. Seems to me that Georgia will be able to handle that running attack and then get after Simpson. Am I completely
rush offense? Rush offense.
Rush, give me rush offense. So there's not exactly the best rushing offense there. Georgia should be able to handle that running attack and then get after Simpson. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. The one thing that I would say about it, a lot of times your rushing stats are skewed a little bit because you're throwing the ball so much. And, this first game, they had some lost yardage plays. And then second game and this last game, they threw a whole lot more than they ran. They've been without their number one back. I don't know if he's going to be able to play or not. He's been out all year, so we'll see. But, again, we cannot commit to trying to stop the run against this team. We got to stop the pass first. So maybe they'll run for a little bit. I just don't think we're going to get the quarterback runs like we got from Milroe last year, which killed us when we played different kind of coverages. But he makes a good point. You definitely got to stop the pass against these guys.
We'll do the full Alabama preview next week. Did I interrupt you, Roddy? Sorry.
Yeah, there's also one from Brandon Dawson kind of on that same line. It says, I've talked so much about trash. I've talked so much trash about Ty Simpson being average. Can we put pressure on him and make him look just like that or worse? That kind of goes back to the question about will they blitz him?
He's definitely more than average because he got great receivers and he knows football. His dad is a coach, coaches at Tennessee Martin, and he's grown up with football. He's got a really good arm and he's very accurate. He's a lot like some of the quarterbacks that won national championships there, Greg McElroy and Mac Jones, guys like that I don't know that Mac won the national championship, but definitely guys that can read coverages and throw the ball. He's every bit as good as Joey Aguilar, in my opinion.
So the Georgia beat him, and I'm liking where Georgia will be hopefully in 2 weeks with one major caveat. No one gets hurt between now and then.
It is unlikely that College Game Day will be in Athens for that because Oregon and Penn State is on the same night. So it's most likely that they will be there, I would think, based on rankings.
Good. One less distraction.
You got LSU and Ole Miss, too, which would be the other one they might go to.
Well, I know we're about to wrap, and we're going to do a full preview of Alabama next week. But, Coach, I do want to get out with two quick takes from you. First, on Auburn at Oklahoma. That's the 3:30 game this week.
Yeah, I mean, everybody out there is fired up because Oklahoma really has done a good job in the portal. I mean, they got the quarterback. They got a new coach on offense, new defensive linebacker coach, and have helped their team. I think it's going to be a case of can Jackson Arnold coming back, the starting quarterback for OU last year. He's a quarterback for Auburn. Auburn has shown me a lot with their offense. I mean, they got good receiver in Coleman. They can run the ball effectively with the quarterback in their back, and they can throw the ball down the field. Big question for me is can they defend the Mateer offense? To me, he's the best quarterback in the league right now as far as just what he's doing for his team, the guy from OU. But if OU takes care of the ball, it'll put a lot of pressure on Auburn to try to keep up with them. But, big games like this, I've seen Freeze take the gas too many times. I don't know if he can. Maybe he can get them across the finish line. But, they had the game won last year and decided to throw the ball, and OU intercepted for a touchdown. But pulling hard for the Sooners.
And sneaky tough game, Tulane at Ole Miss.
What is Tulane team? I'm telling you now. They did a good job of picking up a quarterback. They lost Mensa, their quarterback, to Duke for all that money. So they went out to BYU and picked up their quarterback who had some issues from a previous indiscretion 2 or 3 years ago that they were going to kick him off the team. So this guy's playing like lights out for him for the Tulane Green Wave. I think Tulane right now is in a position to maybe be the team. South Florida now has lost, so I could see Tulane being the team to make it to the playoffs. But boy, what can you say about Lane Kiffin? I mean, he's got a second team quarterback last year who we saw. He's hurt. He can't play. He brings in a transfer quarterback. This kid throws for almost 400 yards.
From Ferris State, Coach.
Yeah,
Ferris State.
I didn't know that was a place.
In Maryland, right?
I'll find out for you. I really don't know.
But, I mean, you can't say enough about Lane and what he does with being prepared with their team, and their defense is still gives up a lot of points, but they made the stops there at the end, and that was a heck of a game. Boy, I was watching that. It was like 41-35 or something like that, but that's going to be a heck of a game with Tulane. And, Tulane
Big Rapids, Michigan. Ferris State's in Big Rapids, Michigan.
All right. Is that close to Grand Rapids?
Sure. It's in Michigan.
But seriously, I got a lot of respect for Lane. I mean, he's a quarterback whisperer, man. He can get him rolling.
It is north of Grand Rapids, if you wanted to know. I just checked that.
And that I know Ryan Kelly coached up there at Grand Rapids or someplace like that where he got his start.
That's going to wrap us, Roddy. And if folks want to go ahead and get in questions for next week's preview of Alabama, they can just do that on social media with either me or Roddy, or if you're on the DawgVent, that's the best place to message us there, and we'll get a question-heavy show headed into Alabama.
Yeah, and I want to make one last point here. I made a point tonight to just not get on anybody about being too hard on Georgia. It's obvious that you can do that, but hopefully you listen to me about what the issues are. Development is not as prevalent now because the ones that need to get developed are leaving. And then you bring in the young ones, and you can't say enough about it. Get a guy like Dontrell Glover to start against this team and grade relatively pretty good. And now you finally get a guy, an all-time player like Juan Gaston, who hopefully – get well this week and can play. He can play tackle too. So Green's still got the back issue. So, but for me, we got to get better safety play. We got to get better on first down, on pass defense against anybody, and got to find some way to play the ball in the air when on the deep balls. I mean, that's definitely what we got to really work hard on. But I'm really encouraged by seeing, we talked about in the watch along show, Kristen Miller. He is a dominant with a capital D lineman that make your mouth water. And Elijah Griffin, the same thing. I really like the way Gabe Harris is setting the edge. Really looks like he's going to be a player there. And of course, our linebackers against the run are stellar. Chris Cole's going to be a real good guy, kind of like Jalen Walker. So a lot of positives on the defense. We just got to max up the positives with the weaknesses. And to me, as a coach, after 1/3 of this or 1/4 of the season, that's when you really get into the coaching now. You know what your players can do, what you can't do. How do you adjust your team? What do you do to make all of them better together, complement each other, offense, defense, kicking game. And that's where the real coaching comes in. And we got nobody in the country is going to be better at getting our team to know what to do than Kirby Smart.
I have to agree with you 100% there. All right, folks, there's no game this Saturday, so there's no watch along, but join us again next Tuesday. We should be back on the regular schedule because Kirby spoke today at noon, this being Tuesday, so we moved ours to 7 p.m., but he should be back considering this Alabama week that he will speak Monday at noon, and then we will have our show Tuesday at noon. Probably that's the time we'll break out the blackout news. Georgia coming.
What? Blackout?
Yeah, Georgia will black it out, Coach. You're wearing black. I figured that's why.
Yeah, I'll be afraid to wear all black in here. I mean, but I don't want anybody to think we're going to black it out. But next thing you'll say, we're going to be wearing red pants or something. So
yeah, red pants, black tops. I get a new look for hosting Alabama the first time in 10 years.
Yeah,
All right,
Kirby's big traditionalist.
He is, and thank goodness. All right, folks, we will see you next week. Y'all take care.